what's the biggest lie that agencies tell every e-commerce brand about actually scaling their ads?
It's interesting. I don't want to say every agency, but it can be a big temptation for agencies to come in and apply a strategy that they've seen work on one brand to a new brand. And a lot of agencies will have, junior media buyers or contractors that are working within a system and a framework of that agency. So when they come onto an account, there's a specific way of doing things, and they have a specific process built around doing it that way. And more times than not, it's like it doesn't work or it's suboptimal because, every brand, every account, every vertical, like they're all different. So coming into account and just assuming you can, start you know, throwing new tactics or Hail Marys into it, thinking it's going to work. Like, I think that's the biggest lie is just that assumption. It's like flying a plane. You want to get in, feel the controls, get a feel for, its power and what it can do before you really start trying to do barrel rolls and turn it into a fighter jet. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I love that analogy. Yeah, it's so true. The number one rule is there are no rules. Sounds kind of stupid, but it's very true. You can't just rinse and repeat the exact same system in every ad account.
yeah. The other thing I'd say too is that, I guess this is more a mistake, not a lie, but like finding a strategy that works, honing in on that strategy, scaling it. Well, then oftentimes they coast. There's this season where the media buyers, the team, they're just kind of coasting on this tactic or this strategy. So, I think the other miss is like not testing, not being curious, not asking those questions like, oh, maybe we have a 1.1 ROAS. It's good, it's above target, whatever. But like, what if you could get a 1.4 or 1.5? A lot of times because they're hitting benchmark, they're not pushing to get that higher return. And that's just a matter of, motivation and then making sure you're aligned on the compensation plan.
How do you make sure that media buyers aren't coasting and they're still pushing?
Yeah, I mean, incentive-based compensation is the key, and you know, staying involved in every account, knowing what's going on, really staying close to the media buyers, having active conversations about what's working on other brands. So like creating kind of this cross-pollination between accounts and media buyers, uh, just to keep everybody learning and growing.
Yeah, that one's huge. I think that's especially important as your brand starts to grow, is that you're going to get activity on so many different channels,
Yeah.
and you have to take all of that into consideration.
Yep. 100%.
Well, that covers it for the second one. Thank you. So I guess it's not always lies. It's just misinformation or a lack of understanding on how to actually scale a larger brand.
Yeah. Yeah, and knowing what decisions to make, what tactics or strategies to implement, and when to do that. Timing is everything. I think, you know, it's really a feel sport, so to say. Like so much of it depends on timing and just knowing when the right time is to push or pull or turn off or launch. Like it's very important that you're in tune with what's going on with everything.
Yeah, and that's probably the benefit of seeing so many large accounts is that you can feel the consumer sentiment by looking at every ad account holistically, but
Hmm.
it's not something that you would necessarily notice if you just had the blinders on and you're only focused in one ad account.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.